We all know that spices can do more than add flavor. For years, people have talked about turmeric, ginger, chili, cinnamon, and mint as natural ways to support health and reduce inflammation. But here is a problem. Most of the research has looked at these spices one at a time. Just turmeric, just ginger, just chili. One ingredient, one supplement, one compound, and then researchers ask, does this reduce inflammation or not? But a new study looked at this in a very different way. Instead of testing only one spice compound by itself, researchers started combining them. And what they found was not just a small improvement, it was a completely different kind of effect. Certain spice compounds did not simply add to each other, they multiplied each other's impact. And one very specific combination showed an effect that was hundreds of times stronger than either compound alone. That is why this matters if inflammation is part of your health concern. But let me be clear. This does not mean you can throw random spices into your food and suddenly erase inflammation overnight. That is not how the body works. The key is not using more spices. The key is using the right combination, because different spices can affect different pathways in the body at the same time. So today, let us break down what the study actually found, why this combination works so strongly, and how you may be able to use the same idea safely at home. So, what did the researchers actually do? They did not begin by giving spices to people and waiting to see what happened. Instead, they worked in a controlled lab setting. They took immune cells and triggered inflammation on purpose. This allowed them to create a clear inflammatory response that they could measure. Then they introduced different plant compounds from spices. And this part is important. They were not simply testing the flavor of the spice. They were testing the active compounds inside the spice, the molecules that can interact with cells, receptors, and inflammation signals in the body. One of the main compounds they looked at was capsaicin, the molecule that makes chili peppers hot. They also tested menthol, the cooling compound found in mint. And they tested other plant compounds as well, including compounds found in aromatic herbs. The goal was simple. First, they wanted to see what each compound could do on its own. Then they wanted to see what happened when certain compounds were combined. Normally, you might expect a combination to be only slightly stronger than one ingredient alone. If one compound helps a little and another compound helps a little, you would expect the result to be a little better. But that is not what happened. Some combinations behaved in a much more powerful way. They did not just add up, they interacted. And that interaction is what made the study so interesting. One of the main compounds in the study was capsaicin. Capsaicin is the molecule that gives chili peppers their heat. It is what makes your mouth burn when you eat fresh chili, cayenne pepper, or chili powder. But inside the body, capsaicin is not just about spicy flavor. It interacts with specific receptors that are involved in heat, irritation, pain, and inflammation. These receptors help the body sense stress and send signals through the nervous and immune systems. So when researchers tested capsaicin by itself, they were not surprised to see that it had some effect on inflammation. We have known for a while that capsaicin can influence inflammatory pathways, but here is the important part. Capsaicin alone was not the most exciting discovery. On its own, it helped somewhat. It affected one part of the inflammation system. It touched one pathway. It sent one kind of signal. That matters, but inflammation is not usually controlled by one pathway alone. Inflammation is more like a web. There are many signals, many receptors, and many chemical messengers all speaking at the same time. So if you use only one compound, even a strong one, you may only influence one corner of that web. That is why the next step in the study was so important. The researchers did not stop with capsaicin alone. They added another compound with a completely different effect in the body. The second compound was menthol. Menthol is the cooling compound found in mint, especially peppermint. It is the reason mint feels cold in your mouth even when the food or drink itself is not cold. And this is where the study became really interesting. Because capsaicin and menthol feel like complete opposites. Capsaicin is heat. Menthol is cool. Capsaicin gives you that burning sensation from chili peppers. Menthol gives you that fresh, cooling sensation from mint. But inside the body, both of them interact with sensory receptors that are connected to pain, irritation, and inflammation. They just do it in different ways. Capsaicin pushes one side of the system, Menthol pushes another. And when the researchers tested them together, the result was not just a slightly stronger effect, it was dramatically stronger. That is the part most people miss. The power was not simply in chili, and it was not simply in mint. The power came from the way these two compounds interacted. One compound was sending a heat-related signal, the other was sending a cooling-related signal, and together they affected the inflammation network in a way that neither one could do alone. This is why the study matters. It shows that nutrition is not always about finding one miracle ingredient. Sometimes the real effect comes from the right combination, and in this case, chili and mint became one of the most surprising combinations in the entire study. When the researchers measured these two compounds together, they expected a small improvement. That would have been normal. Capsaicin from chili had its own effect. Menthol from mint had its own effect. So most people would expect the combination to be only a little stronger. But that is not what happened. The combination became much more powerful. In the study, the capsaicin and menthol combination showed an approximately 700-fold reduction in inflammation-related markers. Those are incredible results. But let me explain this in a simple way. Inflammation in the body is not controlled by one single button. It is more like a group of signals working together. If you use only one spice compound, you may only influence one part of that system. Capsaicin sends a heat-related signal. That is the part you feel when chili burns your mouth. Menthol sends a cooling-related signal. That is the fresh feeling you get from mint. They are very different. And that is exactly why the combination is interesting. The chili compound affects one side of the system. The mint compound affects another side. When both are present together, the body may respond in a stronger way than it would with either one alone. This is called synergy. It means the combination does more than the two separate parts. Now, this does not mean you can eat chili and mint one time and suddenly erase inflammation from your body. This was a controlled cell study, not a promise that every person will get the same result from food. But the lesson is still important. Sometimes better nutrition is not about using more of one thing. It is about combining the right things in a smarter way. And in this study, chili and mint became one of the most surprising examples of that. Here's the part that makes this study even more interesting. The researchers were not using extreme amounts. They were not trying to flood the cells with massive doses of spice compounds. They were working with controlled, relatively low concentrations and looking at how these compounds behave together. That detail matters because most people hear about a powerful result and immediately think, then I should take more. More chili, more mint, more capsules, more extracts. But that is not the message here. The message is smarter than that. The study suggests that the body may respond differently when the right plant compounds are paired together, even when the amount is not extreme. For older adults, this is important because more is not always better. A strong dose of chili may upset the stomach. Too much mint may bother reflux. High-dose supplements may interact with medication. So the goal is not to force the body. The goal is to support it gently. This is why food combinations matter so much. A small amount of chili in a warm soup, fresh mint added at the end, a little heat, a little cooling, two different plant signals in one simple meal. That is very different from swallowing a large capsule and hoping it fixes everything. The real takeaway is simple. Anti-inflammatory eating may not be about chasing one miracle spice. It may be about learning how natural foods work together. And that is something you can begin doing in your kitchen safely and slowly. Before we bring this into the kitchen, we need to be honest about what this study actually proves. This was not a large human trial. The researchers did not give chili and mint to thousands of people and then measure their joint pain, stiffness, or inflammation over months. This was a controlled cell study. That means the researchers could create inflammation in immune cells, add specific spice compounds, and measure what happened under very precise conditions. That is useful because it shows how these compounds may behave at the cellular level. But your body is more complicated than a lab dish. When you eat chili or mint, those compounds have to go through digestion. They have to be absorbed, they have to be processed by the liver, and every person's body responds a little differently. Age, medications, gut health, stomach sensitivity, and overall diet all matter. So we should not take the 700-fold number and pretend it will happen exactly the same way in every person. That would not be honest. But the study still gives us a powerful lesson. It shows that certain plant compounds can interact in ways that are much stronger than using them alone. And that is why the next question becomes practical. How can we use this idea safely at home? So, how can you use this idea at home? You do not need anything complicated. You only need two simple sources. First, you need a capsaicin source. That means something from chili. It could be fresh chili pepper, cayenne pepper, chili flakes, or chili powder. This gives the heat side of the combination. Second, you need a menthol source. That means mint. It could be fresh mint leaves, peppermint leaves, or a simple cup of peppermint tea. This gives the cooling side of the combination. The goal is not to make your food painfully spicy, and the goal is not to eat large amounts of mint. The goal is to combine a small heat signal with a gentle cooling signal in a way your body can tolerate. For example, you could make a warm soup with a small pinch of chili flakes and add fresh mint at the end. You could eat a chili seasoned meal and drink peppermint tea afterward. You could make a cucumber and mint salad with a tiny amount of chili. You could add a little cayenne to a lentil soup, then finish it with chopped mint. Simple, practical, food level amounts. That is the key. If you want to keep it even easier, start with just one meal per week. See how your stomach feels. If you tolerate it well, you can use the combination more often. The study also looked at other plant compounds, and herbs like rosemary may be interesting too. But you do not need to make this complicated. Start with the basic pair, chili and mint. A little heat, a little cooling. Used together in a simple, gentle way. Here is where many people will get this wrong. They will hear 700 times stronger and immediately think the answer is to use more. More chili, stronger chili, more mint, more concentrated extracts. But that is not the lesson of the study. The lesson is not to overwhelm your body. The lesson is to use the right combination in a way your body can handle. For older adults, this matters even more. Your stomach may be more sensitive than it used to be. You may already deal with acid reflux, heartburn, gastritis, or medication that affects digestion. So using strong spices carelessly can backfire. The right way is to treat this as a gentle food habit, not a challenge. Do not take chili on an empty stomach. Do not drink peppermint oil. Do not use strong extracts unless your doctor approves them. Do not force the combination every day if your body does not tolerate it. Use it with real food. Use it in small amounts. Pay attention to how you feel afterward. If your stomach feels irritated, your reflux gets worse, or your mouth burns too much, that is not a sign it is working better. It is a sign you used too much. This is especially important because inflammation is not fixed by one dramatic action. It is supported by repeated, gentle choices. So the goal is not to shock your system. The goal is to build a simple pattern your body can tolerate again and again. That is how this study should change the way we think about spices. Before you try this, there is one more thing you need to hear. Natural does not always mean safe for every person. Capsaicin, the compound in chili, can irritate the stomach. If you already have acid reflux, gastritis, ulcers, irritable bowel symptoms, or frequent heartburn, spicy foods may make you feel worse. And mint is not perfect for everyone either. For some people, especially those with reflux, peppermint can relax the valve between the stomach and the esophagus. That may allow acid to come back up more easily. So if you notice more burning, burping, chest discomfort after meals, or throat irritation, this combination may not be right for you. Older adults also need to be careful if they take regular medication. If you use blood thinners, diabetes medication, blood pressure medication, stomach medication, or anti-inflammatory drugs, ask your doctor before using strong spice extracts or capsules. Food amounts are very different from supplement doses. A normal meal with herbs and spices is one thing. Concentrated chili capsules, peppermint oil, or essential oils are another. Please do not drink essential oils. They are not the same as food. The safest rule is simple. Start gently, watch your body, and stop if anything feels wrong. The goal is not to prove how much spice you can handle. The goal is to support your body without irritating it. This study teaches us something bigger than just chili and mint. It changes the way we should think about food. For years, people have searched for one miracle ingredient, one spice, one capsule, one extract, one thing that will fix inflammation. But the body does not work that way. The body is complex. Inflammation is complex. Aging is complex. So it makes sense that food works best when different compounds support the body from different directions. This is why traditional cooking is so interesting. Many cultures did not use herbs and spices alone. They combined them. Turmeric with black pepper, garlic with olive oil, ginger with lemon, chili with herbs, mint with warm foods. These combinations were not always explained with modern science, but they often followed the same idea. One ingredient supports another. That is what this study is pointing toward. The strongest result did not come from simply using one spice by itself. It came from interaction. And for older adults, this is an important lesson. You do not need to chase extreme doses. You do not need to buy every supplement. You do not need to turn your kitchen into a medicine cabinet. Start with real food. Use herbs and spices in meals. Combine them gently. Pay attention to what your body tolerates. And over time, build a diet that contains many different plant compounds, not just one. Anti-inflammatory eating is not about one magic powder. It is about patterns, small choices, repeated meals, and smart combinations that help the body stay balanced. So, here's what you can actually do with this information. Do not turn this into something complicated. You do not need to buy expensive supplements. You do not need strong extracts. You do not need to eat extremely spicy food. Just start with food. The next time you make soup, stew, lentils, vegetables, chicken, fish, tofu, or beans, you can add a small amount of chili for heat. Then finish the meal with fresh mint, or drink a simple cup of peppermint tea afterward if your stomach tolerates it. That is the practical idea. Use a gentle heat signal from chili. Use a cooling signal from mint. Let both come from real food, not from concentrated oils or capsules. And remember, this study does not prove that chili and mint will cure inflammation in your body 700 times faster. That result came from a controlled cell study. But it does show something useful. The right food combinations may support the body better than one ingredient alone. For older adults, this matters because inflammation is often connected with stiffness, slow recovery, joint discomfort, poor sleep, and low energy. You need habits that are simple enough to repeat, not extreme tricks that irritate your stomach. So start small. Use this combination once or twice a week. Notice how your body responds. If it causes reflux, burning, stomach pain, or discomfort, stop. If you take medication or have a digestive condition, ask your doctor first. The goal is not to prove how much spice you can handle. The goal is to build meals that gently support your body. Because anti-inflammatory eating is not one magic spice, it is small, smart choices repeated over time. So tell me in the comments, would you try chili and mint in soup, salad, or tea? And if this helped you, like the video, share it with someone who deals with stiffness or inflammation, and subscribe for more simple senior health tips.